Manic Depressive equity market, a patient suffering from bipolar disorder. My New York Stock Exchange closing commentary as of May 9, 2025. Today S&P 500 index closed at 5,660. At times, US as well as global equity and commodity markets more or less may behave or appear to be behaving like a patient suffering from severe bipolar or manic depressive psychiatric disorder. Moreover, in the short term, these markets may even appear and behave like gambling casinos. At times, the walk on Wall Street appears random, and I feel as if I'm sailing aimlessly without a wind. Many a times, it's easy for a small investor like me to get disoriented, lose the way, and suffer the losses. But for a patient, educated long term investor, the story may be different. Just 5 or 6 weeks ago, there was utter confusion, chaos, deep pessimism, panic, and a total rush to exit at any cost by the big and small investors alike. They drove the S&P 500 index down to 4,900 or so from the higher levels of 6,100 plus. That low level was retested few weeks later. As of today, we have recovered most of those losses. The optimistic euphoria gradually may be replacing those recent feelings of fear, panic, desperation, and capitulation. How quickly big and small investors alike conveniently forget that pain and rushing to buy once again. The wholesale or institutional as well as retail investors like myself may be suffering from the early symptoms of FOMO syndrome, that is, fear of missing out syndrome. The major trend or momentum may be somewhat up in the short run. I'm only hoping that fear and depression may not be turning slowly into maniacal euphoria. Wall Street old adage, sell in May and go away, and wait until the fall season to begin buying once again, may or may not work this year. I have no crystal balls. The Schiller PE ratio is at a high level of 35. It was only higher than this twice in the history of 150 years of US equity markets. Present-day S&P 500 ratio is at an elevated 27. It was only higher 3 times since the 1870s. As of today, Buffett indicator is 189% and is in significantly overvalued territory. The total stock market index is at US $57 trillion. The US GDP stands at US dollar 29.3 trillion. The Chicago Board of Options Exchange CBOE Fear Index VIX is dropping fast to a relatively lower level of 22. But still, it may not be low enough. The fearful investors may be changing their colors and becoming somewhat euphoric in such a short time. They may be suffering from a syndrome called FOMO, fear of missing out. Who knows? As of today, S&P 500 index 200 moving average is 5,748, which is below its all-time high of 5,762. S&P 500 index 50-day moving average is at 5,552, which is below its all-time high of 6,011. Suddenly, majority of market pundits and gurus are scrambling to find an explanation to be bullish once again. Just 6 to 8 weeks ago, the same pundits were outright bearish bears. Then they were busy justifying their downbeat, depressed moods. Sky did not fall. Last year 2024 and at the beginning of this year 2025, the same pundits were very manic and bullish. As the market rose rapidly and started peaking, they also got caught up in the market euphoria. They started raising market targets as high as 7,100 on S&P 500, the lowest forecast being 6,400, falling all over each other. Her mentality, I would say. When markets started melting away in March and April, the same gurus wasted no time to bring down their market targets to as low as 4,500 and one even hinted as low as 3,600. They always have some kind of explanations for everything they do. What a small investor like me to do? Can anybody in the right mind stand up and answer my question, please? I have become so cynical of late of all these gurus and pundits. They get paid handsomely for their sacred mantras, and a small investor like me has to pour my blood, sweat, and tears to survive and advance. I have a great respect for all of them. Please make no bones about it. I listen to them religiously out of respect, but at the end, I mostly call my own shots based on the principles of human psychology and investing. What are the odds of a small investor like me of making money in the equity and commodity markets? How can I stack up against the Herculean institutional investors and devilishly fast paced automated computer trading systems? In the short run, there is no way I win as a small investor. It is possible that 90 to 95% of the investors lose money only to those 5 to 10% of those who win, at least in the short run. In a long run, I can try to match them by buying and holding broad-based, no-load, low-cost mutual funds, index funds, and ETFs of reputable investment firms and holding them for a long time with thorough diversification. I must stay thoroughly diversified all the time. I must win the two of the greatest enemies of investors, the greed and the fear. That is a tall order. After all, I am a human and small. And I am MS Patil, beyond the shadow of doubt, from the very heart of Chicago's financial district. I am a small personal investor for last half a century, since the mid-1970s. My disclosures: please stop and invest at your own risk. I am neither a financial consultant nor have I ever undergone any formal training in economics or investing. References are already listed. Thank you.